I encounter, I've got to say, countless people who encounter fear. And the fear is a roadblock. They're afraid to speak up. They're afraid to speak in public. They're afraid to speak up in a meeting. They would love to speak from stage, but they say no to opportunities because they're afraid of the unknown, I'm going to say. They're afraid of what might happen. Hey, my name is Lisa Hugo, and I'm obsessed with helping other people find and develop their voices so they can go out and take on the world, be seen as an authority, expert, and speak their truth with utmost confidence because they know that what they have to share will connect with their audience and make a difference. I studied performing arts and spent 20 years of my career traveling the world as a professional singer-songwriter. I teach you the secrets to speak up and be heard, overcome your fears, to build your speaking skills, and learn how you can use your skills to make a change both in your own life and the lives of others. This is your one-stop shop for all things confident speaking. This is Impact Through Voice. Well, hey there, and welcome back to the Impact Through Voice podcast. Today on the show, I want to share a deeply personal experience and a learning curve that's been hugely impactful for me, both personally and professionally. And I've seen some of my clients go through this. I've seen potential clients go through this. So I know that this message today is going to be really valuable for you too. And if not for you, then I'm sure there's someone out there who needs to hear it. So feel free to share it around, share the link. And also, if you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, please go subscribe. I know you're listening because you're downloading it and we've got your view, but to have your subscription really does mean a lot to us. It helps us to rank higher in the charts. It helps us to reach more people. So you'd be really doing us a great favor and also helping yourself out because then you won't miss an episode in the future. So I really appreciate if you could go hit that subscribe button. So today I'm talking about the fear of making decisions or stopping yourself from making important decisions because of fear. Now, this is relevant in all parts of our lives. Doesn't matter if it's in our friendships, our relationships, our career decisions, decisions about where we're going to live, business decisions, personal development decisions, even financial and especially financial decisions. Fear can often hold us back. Fear of the unknown, fear of judgment, fear of making a fool out of ourselves, fear of financial constraints, of uncertainty, of hurting someone else, and fear of making a mistake. In relationships and friendships, we might stay in a relationship that isn't serving us because we're afraid of the unknown, of hurting people, of being judged. And when an opportunity comes our way to take on a new job or to move to another country, then we might hold ourselves back again because we're afraid of the unknown and we're afraid of making a mistake. When we're making a buying decision, especially a big buying decision, we might hold ourselves back again because of the fear of the unknown and the fear of spending money. So the fear of we don't know yet what we're going to really get for our dollar, for our buck. When we're making a business decision, we might hesitate because this could negatively affect the business, our teams, our employees, our customers, our bottom line. So again, it's that fear of the unknown. Notice the trend? The fear of the unknown. Feeling fear when we're making decisions is completely normal. And most of us are fearful about those big decisions that are really going to influence our future. And they can be scary to make. Now, throughout my life, there have been several, in fact, I would say many decisions that I've had to make along the way that were scary. And I know that you would be able to make a list of experiences that you've gone through that were scary too. In fact, we probably encounter them almost every day. The decisions that I have made have shaped who I am today, and it will be the same for you too. And I'm going to share just a few of the ones which popped to mind instantly for me. Going right back to my early 20s, I got an opportunity to leave Australia and go and work in Europe as a singer-songwriter performer. I was 26 now, if I remember rightly, 26 at the time. And this was an incredible opportunity, but it was also scary to leave behind everything that I knew, to leave behind my family, to go to a place which didn't even speak my language and start afresh in an entire new environment. But I was excited about being able to pursue the thing that I love, singing, performing, entertaining, to be paid to do that, and to at the same time get to travel the world whilst being paid. So, okay, it was a bit of a no-brainer, but it was still a big decision and it was still really scary. Another one was a little bit later in my career, living in Germany. I was in a relationship and that relationship started to go wrong. But I was in the relationship and I couldn't really see it from the inside. I needed other people to help me to see that. And it wasn't until I got out of it, as we all know, and I look back on it, that I really realized that I was in let's call it a toxic relationship, because I'd lost my sense of self, I'd lost my confidence, and I needed to rebuild who I was after leaving that relationship. But leaving that relationship, that decision to go, was huge. It was really big and it was uncomfortable. And a lot of the decisions that we have to make along our paths will be uncomfortable. In fact, I'd probably go so far as to say that most of the decisions that we make, especially if there's fear behind them, they're going to be uncomfortable. I'll share another couple. Relocating as an expat, similar to my first experience, so to move countries, I've done this 3 times in my life. That's not including all of the travel I've done as a singer-songwriter with my career. But these were real moves to decide that I'm going to pack up, I'm going to ship all of my life's belongings across to another country. And that was when I moved from Germany to Belgium. I spent 3 years in Belgium. I bought a house in Belgium. There's another big decision. It's not even a country that I grew up in, but to buy a house there, another big financial decision. That was the decision that made my stomach churn a bit. And then the decision to move across to Dubai, where I've now been for 17 years. So clearly it was a good decision, even though at the time that we were making it, it wasn't easy. And there was a lot of fear in there, but we worked through that fear. We normalized that fear and we used it to our advantage to end up with some incredible experiences because we made those decisions. Now, if we had decided to stay comfortable and say no, who knows where we would be now? Probably still in the same place, doing the same thing that we'd always been doing. One more big decision, and I'll talk about this a little bit later in the podcast, was making the decision to invest in my own self-development, in my own learning. And I'll share a little bit more about this major decision a little bit further on in the podcast and how it really influenced where I am and what I'm doing today. But all of these decisions were scary. But here's the thing. If I hadn't made those decisions, I wouldn't be where I am today. Now, these decisions shaped my life. They shaped me. Were they always the right decision? I'll probably never know. Maybe I made some mistakes along the way, but I was able to pivot. In most cases, pivot, don't go too far down the wrong path, and then change direction and come back. If I hadn't challenged my fear, I would have never known. I would have never known. And think about that for yourself. Decisions that you've made in the past, which were scary, they were adventurous, and yet you made them. And if you hadn't done that, you would still be maybe where you are today, but you would never have known. And maybe you're sitting there and you're thinking, yeah, there's decisions that I had an opportunity. But I missed that opportunity. I missed that opportunity. And you don't know where could you have been if you had taken that opportunity. And you've got to think to yourself, when you've faced with a tough decision and it's a scary decision. There's fear there. What's the worst that can happen? You pivot, you learn from the experience, and then you move forward. I see this all the time as a coach, and in particular as a coach to people who aspire to be more confident speakers. So public speaking coaching, communication coaching. I encounter, I've got to say, countless people who encounter fear. And the fear is a roadblock. They're afraid to speak up. They're afraid to speak in public. They're afraid to speak up in a meeting. They would love to speak from stage, but they say no to opportunities because they're afraid of the unknown, I'm going to say. They're afraid of what might happen. And they want to work on their skills, but again, they're afraid to join a program because, again, they worry about how will people perceive me? Will I be judged? What will people think of me? What if I don't get it right? And of course, then there's the fear of, it's a lot of money. Will I get that return on the investment? And even though deep down they know that it's the best decision that they could ever make, this fear is holding them back. Now, I want to say, I fully understand it. I've been there. I've been through it so many times in my life. This fear as a performer, going out on stage, going to an audition, feeling like you're going to be judged, feeling like all eyes are going to be on you. And what if I get it wrong? I remember back in 2020, I was given an incredible opportunity to work with one of the world's best digital marketing mentors. And I was accepted into his program. And let me tell you, the investment really churned my stomach. I was scared to spend that much money on a coaching program. I was scared of the investment. I was scared of changing the way that I had been doing business for so long. And of course, I was scared that maybe I wouldn't get the results and the investment would be in vain. And at the time, I didn't really have much money to spare. We'd gone into COVID. My husband had been without work for a couple of years. My income was the everything to keep and sustain our family in Dubai, which is no cheap city to live. And so we didn't really have the money on the side. But for me, it was an opportunity. And opportunities come and go. But if you don't grab them when they're there, you may miss out altogether. So I embraced this opportunity. I embraced my fear and I invested in myself. And it was, I would say, one of the best decisions that I have ever made in my career, because it allowed me the opportunity to change the way I work with clients. It allowed me the opportunity to 10x my income. It allowed me the opportunity then to spread beyond my physical location of where I was based, where I was only working with people in my close proximity, to be able to work with people all around the world, because I'd learned how to market myself through digital marketing, through video marketing, and to reach so many more people with my message. And I see this all the time with people who are considering joining our programs, but this fear holds them back. Fear of the unknown, like I've been talking about, the fear of making a change, the fear of stepping outside your comfort zone, and the fear of the financial investment and what happens if it doesn't work, or is it going to stretch me too thin? But then they miss the opportunity, and then they end up staying where they are without growing, without developing their skills. And then they say, well, I've never got a promotion. I've never moved up the ladder. I've never started that business, because they've been afraid to make a change. They've been afraid to invest. For me, making business decisions can be scary. As a business owner, choosing to stop working with someone, a staff or a client, it doesn't matter. I don't like to hurt people's feelings. I used to always find it hard to say no to somebody, say no to a client. So this fear of hurting somebody's feelings has really caused me to make some bad decisions along the way. But this is also something that I have learned to get more comfortable with, and that's the ability to say no, the ability to choose what's right for me and what's not right for me where I'm at right now, and not be a people pleaser, which is something I've been a lot of my life. Again, it comes back to what's the worst that can happen? Somebody doesn't like you, they don't agree with you, they don't agree with the decision they made. You come into a program and you feel that people don't like you. Who cares? Who cares if they don't like you? You're working on you. Now, having said that, I'm not saying that we should just go out there and we should take uncalculated risks. Now, let's imagine you're investing on the stock market. You wouldn't go out and make uncalculated risks in a big investment on a stock that you don't have any idea of the direction that it's going to go, unless you're a super high risk taker. And so you wouldn't do that in other areas of your life either. But even when you're investing and you've made that choice to invest and you can see that the stocks are going up and then they take a bit of a dip and you get scared. And when that dip comes in, you get scared and you sell it all. And then the stock goes back up and you miss that opportunity to have made even more money because you got scared. I've seen my husband do this when he was investing on the stock market, and we lost about $25,000 because he got scared. One thing that I've learned is to catch this feeling before it manifests too deep. To identify what's holding me back here from making this decision that deep down my gut tells me is going to be a good decision, but there's something still holding me back. Usually our gut will tell us if it's not going to be a good decision, and that's our instinct, and generally we listen to our instinct. But I'm not talking about these kinds of decisions where your instinct tells you no. I'm talking about the decisions where your instinct tells you yes, but you're afraid. So I want you to ask yourself, when you come across one of these decisions again in the future, whether it's to make a business decision, a relationship decision, a decision on your own personal development, a decision that will affect your life or the life of your family, ask yourself, what am I afraid of? And be honest with yourself. What do you stand to gain from making this decision, taking this action, doing this thing? Here's a handy exercise that might help you. Take a piece of paper and draw a line down the center. And on the left side, write down all the things that are causing you to not move forward with this decision. And then on the right side, write down all of the benefits of making this decision. What will making this decision do for you, for your business, for your relationships, for your life? And that will help you to gain perspective. When we let fear control our decisions, we stop moving forward. I'll say that again. When we let fear control our decisions, we stop moving forward. We stay stagnant and don't experience the full potential of what life has to offer us. So I'm going to ask you again, what are you afraid of? Remember, it's okay to have fear. The initial fear of making a big decision is completely normal. Everyone feels fear in big decision making. It's completely human. And if you feel scared to make some big decisions, don't let fear stop you. If you've been sitting on something for a long time, if you haven't made the decision, ask yourself, what am I afraid of? Can I overcome that? And then write it down. I'm afraid of. I'm afraid of. Write down a list of the things which are holding you back. Get clear, get honest with what you are afraid of. And then ask yourself, can I move past that? And if it doesn't work out, can I course correct? Action is the only thing that will get us from where we are now to where we want to go. So I encourage you to embrace the fear, normalize the fear, because it is normal. And again, ask yourself, what am I afraid of? Can I overcome this? What's the worst case scenario? And be honest. I'm going to share one more example with you. And it's the example of one of my clients. Her name is Deepti. And she signed up for my mentorship program. Deepti had private coaching sessions with me. And she'd been going through some personal stuff which had inhibited her from taking the sessions, or personally, she was holding herself back. She was afraid. And she booked a session in for me this one day. And she had decided in her mind, coming into that session, that she didn't want to do it. She wanted to cancel. And she wrote me a message. She said, I think, can we reschedule? She did this a lot, by the way. Reschedule. But I said, no, come on the session today. And she did. It turned out that having that call with me was instrumental in her getting not just one job offer, but multiple job offers in the next week, because we'd worked on interview techniques and pitching herself. And she came off that call saying, oh my gosh, I really thought that I was going to cancel, but I'm so glad I came on the call. And the result could have been completely different if she had chosen to let fear hold her back and she'd not joined the session that day. She then had multiple job offers off the back of being fired a couple of weeks earlier. So it's better to make wrong decisions, I'm going to say, but be an action taker than to sit back too scared to make a decision at all. The more uncomfortable you get, the bigger the results you're going to see. Move forward anyway. Don't be afraid to look foolish. Don't be worried about messing up, even in public. Don't be afraid of messing up in front of your team. Don't always feel like you have the answers. Don't let yourself feel incompetent. And get uncomfortable. That's my biggest tip for you, is get uncomfortable. If you're willing to do that, you cannot lose. Only good can come from getting uncomfortable, stretching yourself beyond where you are now. Now, I felt compelled to share all of this with you because I'd like to take you behind the scenes to the struggles that I've gone through and that many other people go through on a daily basis, to help you realize that you're not alone, that life is tough and things can be scary, but you have to push through the fear. Thank you so much for listening, my friend. If you know someone who is struggling to make these bold moves, to take risks, to make decisions, to move forward, they're feeling stuck, please grab the link and share this episode with them, because it just might be the one thing that unlocks what's keeping them stuck so that they can move forward and create the confidence, the business, and the life that they deserve. All right, my friend, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm going to leave it at that, and I'll see you next week for more entrepreneurial tips, techniques, and advice. Till then,